Tumavele from programtom.com/dev here, and in this episode I'm gonna talk again about Firebase push notifications, and this time in Vaadin web app. Failed and I've moved to making a mobile front end. So I've recently tried integrating Firebase push notifications in Vaadin web app, and I ended up making it work on mobile. Here is the progress. So first, let's point out how easy it is to implement push messages with Vaadin's built-in support. Basically, you annotate the application if you are running on top of Spring Boot, the application class with push annotation, and cache the UI instance before rendering some view. And when you have some updates from the server, post it with UI access. I've done this in my chat GPT, a product I have here in this application. Basically, this is the chat view. Let me demonstrate it. Basically, the application has a push annotation that is coming from Vaadin components, and in the chat window I have cached UI before rendering, and when I have some response, I'm posting it. I'm updating the UI, and I'm updating the UI in a command that is posted to the UI. And basically this is very similar to how graphical user interfaces work, where you cannot just change the UI, but you need to wrap it up in the Swing Utilities invoke later, or whatever framework you work. You most probably cannot directly change the UI, but you must change it the proper way. Like in Flutter, you change the state and make the app rebuild, and you do not directly change the UI. So yeah, this is the built-in way of creating push inside Vaadin application, and this is the build way, and it's coming from your server. No dependencies here. So yeah, here is the link to the app, and then I've tried integrating push notifications. So here is a tutorial that is from vaadin.com. You can see it. It's vaadin.com official documentation, and it's very good, but and it's from March 2023, and it's not working. Basically, it takes into account that generating a token is something, registration token is something entirely coming from the front end, from the browser's API implementation of getting self-registration. This is the service worker, and it publishes this registration token to the backend, and the backend calls Firebase using a private and public key that are registered in Firebase. So this is a way to implement it. This was the way it implemented some time ago, but right now it doesn't work. The official way of getting a registration token returns something that has if Firebase quote whatever quote messaging fcm.googleapis.com slash some hashed value that is unique for the user, for the browser, and so on. And as a content, the old way passes this public private key or whatever other parameters are required. But the new way, this URL, the URL where you call some push, it contains only the project ID. Let me find it out. Yeah, here it is. A way to use Firebase admin SDK, and you post a URL to projects and your project ID, and you post authentication and also some message. This is the new way. And the authentication right now is with authentication with JWT, JSON Web Token, and it is initialized with gcloud. Yeah, it is initialized with gcloud CLI. So basically, you need to install this on the server and make your server use this authentication. So the server to server call, where you tell Firebase to push a notification to your application, is the authentication is done with this one, with this tool. So I failed to make it work on the client side. Here it is what I said. And yeah, so on the server, I add this dependency, create a project inside Firebase, install gcloud, and basically here is the way I'm building a Firebase app. Firebase app is configuration holder that contains authentication to what project, to what storage bucket, and other parameters. So any other utility that you use to Firebase will require this Firebase app. And basically here is the way sending. Basically I've missed here. Firebase app must be passed parameter of get instance, and basically there are static methods for get instance, and you just pass a message. But unfortunately I failed to get it working on web. I failed to get it working while registering for a notification while the page is active, nor on when it is on background. And yeah, I failed to write a new application that does not have Vaadin nor Spring. So, and I also tried a minimal React because the documentation of Firebase, if you Google Firebase push notifications, you'll see okay, this is server config. If you get JavaScript, you will notice The syntax is now very much like the code in Angular or React or any other front-end JavaScript framework. Basically, they've moved all this API that is in TypeScript that is making modular JavaScript, so it's stripping away only the essential part of the big node modules, and yeah, they've moved all this code inside the browser. So now the browser has push API, and basically you could see this page of web APIs is so long. So all this code is in the browser. So if you wonder why the browsers are so heavy, here's why. So I've tried several alternatives, and the one signal signup fails with some unavailable please try again message. So I cannot use a service that has not functional sign up. I've also checked out Amazon SNS, and it's a simple notification service, but what I found is it is for applications, sending messages to topics, and yeah, it's a little bit more complex than Firebase, as until I've tried it in these few days, I could say that Firebase had the perfect Firebase has perfect documentation, but why it does not work, I'll figure out sometime later, because I've made a push message working with in a Flutter mobile app, and there were some requirements. I need the device that I've been running the test had Google Play services. This is something that after they after America stopped Huawei working with Google services, this is the moment when you could realize that Android may be open source, but the Play services is proprietary, and it is obfuscated, and it is required for all the services. So basically, I've made it working in a Flutter app, Flutter Android app, and for anything outside of Google Play, I will need to implement Amazon SNS or Huawei push notifications, or yeah, I tried to make it working on the web, because in general web targets all devices. With web you could have one app for absolutely all devices, and you do not need to take into account requirements, and yeah, you must take into account requirements, but deployments is not validated by someone else but your own. And yeah, the web is much more open and more customizable, and yeah, there are a lot of benefits of making an app as a progressive web app for the internet, and there are less restrictions than the markets. But when you get into some specific integrations, these integrations have their own limitations, and one must follow these restrictions to make stuff work. So basically, this for today, I've made an app that is Vaadin web app, and it pushes notifications to Firebase, and I'm receiving them on mobile. So at some time I may retry making it work on web, but I will move on and make my application working, and then I may try again this variation of the project. So yeah, I hope you I hope I've helped you a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna share one small detail. Basically, there are two cases where pushes are delivered. One is when the application is running, when the user has opened the app. Another is when it is received on the background. So when you receive on the background, you need service worker, and basically Firebase has its own Firebase app JavaScript and Firebase messaging JavaScript. And Firebase messaging injects its own service worker file, or it looks it on the root of the project, like if like I've opened programtom.com, and it will not work search it /dev/ service worker.js, but it will always search it in the root. And for this I've made some hard internal changes to make it work, at least to make not throwing JavaScript exceptions. I didn't make it work, but yeah, to make it not throw JavaScript exceptions. So it seems Firebase has hard-coded the way where it will look for this JavaScript, and by default it is with /. If you have done something similar, you know what I mean. Like if let me try if I could go to the past or show local history. Yeah, external change. Okay, internal change. So yeah, this is one of the things that I've needed to change to make it work and to not look for this JavaScript file right there. So yeah, I hope this helps. And yeah, at some time in the future I'll retry to make it work, but for now I'll move to actual business logic.